Good evening. My name is Mike Haney, and welcome to another edition of 60 Minutes in Black America. Outstanding show for you tonight as we talk about finances, financial health. We talk about a multitude of things. Please stand by. We'll be right back. Wow, God is good. It's been a great week. I see that our guest tonight is in the studio after we had to deal with some technical difficulties. And so thank goodness you didn't have to hear me for 59 minutes gyrate and continue to talk with you. Although there's a lot to say, particularly after listening to Dr. Will Moreland last Sunday. And Dr. Moreland, shout out again to you down in Arizona for the information you gave me. And I just want to let you know that many viewers text and emailed us to let us know that they went out and got your books because people are inspired, people were uplifted, people understood the theory of the apple. We only can be what we can see. And that test of the apple, if you weren't with us last week, and today's show is going to be equally as compelling when it comes to our ability to begin to look beyond who we are, and what we're able to do with what it is that we have. And Dr. Will gave a testimonial to the simple apple when he showed us an apple and asked us, what did we see? Nutrition. We saw a red circular object that's fruity, but cider, apple pie, etc. The same thing that we look at when we see ourselves in the mirror. And so the ability to look at things differently than what we have understood it to be, particularly our own talents, and how Dr. Will talked about our genius, our ability to write books, the multitude of experiences that we have gone through in our lives, and how do we document it and make it teachable moments for others in our community? And how do we take that and transform that into something that's generational. And so that's one of the things that we hope to accomplish tonight is talk about generational stuff, wealth, knowledge, so that we as a people have things and legacies to pass on. And, we hear so much, particularly since the end of the pandemic, if we believe that the pandemic is over, and I, for one, believe it, and I want to believe that the pandemic is over, when many of us, particularly in our communities, struggled financially, and some of us did pretty well. Some of us did pretty well during the course of the past 24 months, 28 months, however long you witnessed, a sort of destruction in our lives around the pandemic. And so here we are at the end of the year of 2022, seeing a pandemic that started in March of 2020, over 2 years ago. Man, how time flies, and the impact that had on our lives. And so here we are in December of 2022 on the cusp of what they say is inflation, to a point where we may, or they're predicting, a recession in the world, and particularly in this country next year. And so how do we prepare? How do we prepare as we begin to celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is that, or all three, or two of the three, whatever it is that you believe, so that the realities of these seasons is what we look at. But beyond that, the realities of how we live our lives is what we really focus on. And how do we begin to look at growth? Christmas has always been a season from Thanksgiving through New Year's Eve, where we focus on giving, receiving. And so all of a sudden after Thanksgiving, what happens after Thanksgiving? They call it a holiday, Black Friday, where we continue to spew money into commercial, retail, and other things. And we continue to see money go out, money go out. And so the recession says that this coming year, or inflation, because prices are off the chart. We realize the price of gas, the price of bread, a pound of butter, $5, dozen eggs, almost $5. And if your salary isn't meeting that fluctuating price, well, what are you going to do? So you're going to spend between Thanksgiving and New Year's at the same rate you may have in 2021 and come out with what? So it's all in how you look at things. So we have a guest today, Jamie Miner, in the studio, that hopefully, as Dr. Will did last year, is able to give us a different perspective of how we can live and create a generational wealth, knowledge that is sustainable, and that what we did yesterday is not something that we can do today. If we want to begin to change the dynamics in our community of ownership and self-reliance meaning self as well as those within our communities, so that we don't find ourselves in situations where we as a people in a community are the only ones that are suffering because of the way we handle things. So what we want to look at as we begin to prepare to spend, and maybe we don't spend, maybe we don't begin to prepare to spend after hearing the conversations today, because we treat our resources, our assets, our time, talent, treasure, the three things that we have really to either give or receive in a different manner. Maybe it's a matter as we enter into the Christmas slash Kwanzaa slash Hanukkah season, that it's not a matter of going to Amazon and taking our discretionary income, because it's discretionary. You know, buying a pound of butter, buying a dozen eggs, buying milk, paying rent is not discretionary. It's a necessity. It's a necessity. And even those prices have gone up over the course of the past year, while our salaries either are stagnated, because if you're spending $1 more and you're making the same dollar, then it has to come from somewhere. So maybe our thinking in terms of going out and purchasing on Amazon hundreds of dollars in gifts and hundreds of dollars worth of toys and decorations, etc., so that when we come out of there, there's that holiday depression, because now all of a sudden we wonder, how can we afford to pay heat, light, gas, rent, and subside, because we no longer have the resources to do so. So maybe we give differently. Maybe we look at giving differently. Maybe we look at giving stock. Maybe we look at giving cryptocurrency. And we did a show on cryptocurrency a couple of weeks ago. And maybe it's a matter that we have to understand when things are on a cusp of bankruptcy, maybe we have to look at it as our opportunity to enter in the market, because that's the way society beyond us usually looks at things. The opportunity is not when everyone's enjoying it. The opportunity is not when it's at its peak. The opportunity to really get in and engage and benefit from something when it's at a point that the entry into that market is something that we can afford to get into. And so we're going to talk at length about crypto, and I really want you to pay attention to this. And so maybe you say, after we give you an education understanding today, really after 2 shows of speaking of it, and all of us admitting that it's something that we don't know, but it doesn't mean that it's not something that is good for us because we don't know. It just means that it's something that we need to know and understand better, so that we can take advantage of it if there's an opportunity to do so. So we're going to rely on Jamie and trust Jamie and our community to communicate to us today in a manner, in a fashion, that when we come out of this podcast tonight, that we're able to make some actionable decisions that could be life-changing in terms of the trajectory and course that our generations meaning kids, grandkids, ourselves are able to take because we're in a position to understand how to take advantage of something when it's depressed. And we all have heard of the crisis in crypto. We've heard of Elon Musk. You're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on a multitude of social media. And what does it mean to us other than likes? And by the way, please like 60 Minutes in Black America. If you're watching it on Facebook, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But this has to mean more to us than like and subscribe. It has to mean more to us than Elon Musk. It has to mean more to us as a community, more so as a vehicle for us to share information that's relevant and begins to move the needle. So I ask you to have a bit of trust of the information that you'll hear tonight. I ask you to have a bit of faith that what we say and suggest, if you're willing to put into action, could be of benefit and value to you. And I ask you to trust that if you do something different, given the different times that we're in, and we talked about inflation and the fact that the International Monetary Fund, which monitors the global currency and monetary conditions in the world, is predicting a very bad recession that we understand today. On December 4th, the world financially is going to be looking different starting really today. But let's look at it from a January 1st perspective, because that's when we all do what? We all pledge to stop smoking, stop drinking, stop cussing, stop doing this, stop doing that, but forget about the negativities. Let's start by saying, let's start doing something and taking the money, if we're looking at money, and the attitude towards it, starting today, towards the 31st of December, when we tend to spend abundantly, and then we go out and we see wrapping paper that we paid for where? In the trash can. Boxes that we paid for in the trash can. Toys and tools that we paid for, making someone happy, scattered, unused. Let's take a different look and perspective of how we give. And maybe we're giving Bitcoin. Maybe we're giving Ethereum. Maybe we're looking at FX that went belly up because the pricing is such that now we have the ability to enter into the market. But we can only play a game that we understand. And so we're going to bring Mr. Jamie Miner into the stream and give us the education. Please pay attention. If you got to walk away, turn the volume up and just listen as we begin to educate each other on opportunities that are cost effective finally, because we're educated and realize that we have to do something different. Jamie, how you doing, man? Thank you so much for being on 60 Minutes in Black America.
Man, I'm great. I appreciate you, man. You nailed it the whole way in. You know, everything you just spoke about was mindset, right? I mean, we got to change our mindset so we can be open to the opportunities of something different, because if we don't, then we're going to be doing the same things that we gotten here, and that's not really the way forward. So I think you're on top of it, Mike.
Hey, thank you very much, man. And I want to be this education apparatus today because you and I have talked, and we talked about at the end of the day, we want our people, our community, or whoever it is that's listening, to understand the dynamics of what's happening out here economically in the world. And is this the opportunity through your education and your astute knowledge that is helpful? So back to this weekend and a session with brothers and sisters that was uplifting and revealing and spiritually preparation for me to take in and inhale some new stuff, right? Because we're never too old, never too young to change the direction and change the trajectory and the course of who we are and what we do. We just aren't. And I'm prepared. So Thursday, I've got an appointment with my accountant. And as much as I don't want to see her, I don't want to see her, but I know that I need that checkup. And what does your checkup look like financially so that you have a game plan going into 2023 that you see where you are and what you're able to do as a result of where you are and what discretionary that you have to do better. And then what are the vehicles that you're going to use to do better? Are you willing to take a chance and gamble, or is it that you will go down to Maryland Live or to St. Louis Casino and play the slots? Is that how you invest? Hey, that same amount of money in an investment vehicle that may look different could have a higher rate of return. And it is also able to be passed on to your children or your grandchildren. So the self fulfillment of enjoyment and entertainment that costs us tangibly as well, let's change the mindset. Let's look at this show as the vehicle to begin to change our attitude and mindset. As I looked at this past weekend amongst hundreds or thousands of brothers and sisters, to change my attitude and be willing to partake and then take in what someone like Jamie has to say. And Jamie, I see at your back, man. And they say that, all of us have a pulpit and a pulpit, and I am, kind of on one now, man, because I feel really good. Now, do we have a sound with Jamie? Because I was trying to hear him and I couldn't. Jamie, is your sound there?
Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah, we can hear you now, man.
All right, great.
So Jamie, and I just saw flash that comment back up there, because I'm telling you, viewers, we want to acknowledge and engage you all as much as we possibly can, because we want to breathe in what it is that you have to say. Was that a relevant comment? I always look forward to meeting with my financial advisor. It's important to be consistently aware of ways to improve, identifying opportunities just like companies do, so that if my accountant tells me, hey, you can save money this way and it gives you an extra $50 or $60, and I'm going to say, well, based on what Jamie told me December 4th, let me go buy some Bitcoin. But before we get into that, Jamie, who are you to be telling us anything? Who are you, man?
Well, my background is traditional finance. I started out in mortgages. I started a mortgage company down in North Carolina back in 2000. And I had that for around 6 years, grew it to around 9 states. And, right before the housing market crash, I got out. And then, I've been a serial entrepreneur. I've was in a union. I started another union construction company. We did some work for Brown University, University of Rhode Island, has some nice downtown buildings. So my background's been mostly mortgage and real estate. I did have another company. It was a media group. We did a lot of sponsorships. I think I shared with you one of our contracts that I got with Drake, with that executive production that we did.
You said Drake. You said Drake, right?
Yeah, Drake. Aubrey Graham.
You said Drake. So everybody listen, as I said earlier, if you find yourself not wanting to watch and look at Mike Haney and you're going to step away from it, turn the volume up today so you can partake and inhale some of this information coming to you. So you had a relationship of some sort with Drake. I also heard you mention Rhode Island. So Jamie is in Rhode Island, right?
Yeah. Yep. I grew up in Newport, Rhode Island. I don't know if you're familiar with the area. It's a small town, probably about 30 minutes wide. It's got a diverse economical, area where you have this group of well-known elite, senators.
Hey, Jamie. So yeah, I'm familiar. That's where all you people with money go to Newport, Rhode Island, man. So listen, man.
Well,
we all know that Newport with the sailboats and the water is where all you guys go for money. So
that's one edge, though. But that's one edge, and then you have the middle section. 10 minutes away is a blue collar, hard worker section. Then you have 10 minutes from there, and you got more of a economic divide between
Absolutely,
that, you know,
Jamie.
so like within 30
Absolutely.
minutes. Yeah.
Because you can't have the section of the to-dos
Right.
without the section of ones that support the to-dos, because the to-dos aren't going to cut the grass, etc. There's always going to be that there's
Exactly.
always going to be that blue collar connectivity. But I want to be on the side here, but I want to be fair to that side there. But there's always going to be that support system. I always tell people, for those of you who don't know, the reason that Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, is not a state because it was initially conceived to be that blue collar part of town to support the House and the Senate in terms of the administrative staff, the ground crew, et cetera, et cetera. And that was who? That was the black people that came up from the South that got good government paying jobs because the hobnobbers and the politicians, they didn't want to do it themselves, so they created DC. And Jamie just told us about the part of Newport that does the same. So all we're saying that is if you want to be on that side of town, that's fine. You can probably make a decent living. If you want to invest in your generational future, meaning my grandkids and my kids, then let's have this conversation with Jamie that's dealt with Drake and lives in Newport, Rhode Island. I think you went to Rhode Island College as well, right? So you have some post-secondary education
Yep.
in your background as well, right?
Got business. Yeah, well, when it's interesting because I went and started the mortgage company, went and actually made that work. Then went back to college after the housing market. Like I got to get some different skills. I went back and got a business degree and learned all the terms that I was actually using when I started the mortgage company to begin with. So it's kind of like a reverse engineering of sorts with that, how that worked out. But so I got
Wow.
traditional and experience with growing the business prior to being trained through college, I guess.
Hey, well, listen, Jamie, the commitment that I've made to our viewers tonight, the commitment that I've made to them tonight is that before we get off this podcast, this stream, which is educational, we got uplifted by Dr. Will last week, got uplifted, motivated, is that we would, through you, be educated astutely in potential investment vehicles that coming out of this holiday season, when we traditionally look at our spending patterns differently, that we would say, well, hey, instead of spending that $1,000 in totality, if I had a plan to do so in gifts, let me figure out how to spend $600 so that I can see whether Mike and Jamie's thoughts on the 4th of December and me taking that $400 difference and investing it in what makes sense. So we're talking about crypto, again, third conversation, and I'm a little bit more aware and knowledgeable about it than I was 2 years ago when I made $9,000 not knowing what the heck I was doing, but my son told me to do it, and I did what he said, which was a rarity, and that's the last thing I did what he said, and also the first thing, because I don't listen to him if you don't have the basis to educate me, and I believe that you do. So let's talk about crypto as an investment vehicle, because we all know that the market is down, it sucks, and this may be our opportunity, is it?
It is. And, the biggest thing for me was, regardless of my experience as a business, regardless of my experience, my college education, this was all new. So, I didn't learn about money. College didn't teach me about money. High school didn't teach me about money. Where do you learn it about? So what I had to do was I paid for a private mentorship by somebody who was in this space, knew what they were doing, knew how to invest, where to invest, to do it safely. I either had money to put in the market myself without any knowledge, or pay this man to teach me and I figured I could make money later. So I chose to get the education first, pay into the mentorship, learn the information I needed, and then once I was able to make some money, put it in the market so I could grow it. And that's what I did. I watched him, my mentor, grow his account from $300,000 to $7 million in a little over 2 years. This is real. There was times where we would go into an investment. I put $90 into it, and literally we'd go to bed, wake up the next day, and there'd be $1,100 in the account. And
So
I
what
pull
is
it
it?
out to
What
make
were you
sure it was safe.
invested in? What were you investing in? Let's break this down to our viewers, because we want to be inspired, but we also want to be actionable, and we feel fantastic hearing about you, but we want to put ourselves in that place.
Well,
We
the
want to
big
be in that place to do what it is that you did. So what is it that you did, and how can we do that as well? Or moreover, teach us as you were taught, because that's what learning is about. We can't go where you went, so we're relying on you and your grace and your talent to educate us now.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm here. You know, to pass on what I learned, just like my mentor did. I paid a great amount of money toward him. I'm doing it for free. You know, we each do our own part, but you know, basically, the first thing you got to know is that this crypto market. It's not this like anything. You know, I didn't know anything about stocks either. You know, so anything in crypto, this is a coin. It's just a company. They do a certain thing. It's a technology company. It's a network. And just like Microsoft, just like Apple, they're all network companies. And the difference between a regular brick and mortar company where you go in for a service, you get something done, and then you leave, and that's pretty much a regular traditional business. A network company, it grows exponentially, because if you and I know each other, Mike, and then now you add other people onto the network, like Michael just added a comment earlier, right? So now we're connected. And because Michael knows 500 people and you know 5,000 people, and I know, now our network grows, and that's where the value of that company grows exponentially. That's why Apple's worth so much and Microsoft's worth so much. So with Bitcoin and the blockchain, this came out of the first time an innovation was allowed to advance money. There's been advances in other areas, energy, green energy, AI, robotics. You and I sent a video where there was a little robot delivering food the other day by itself, right? So everything's always innovating and growing. I just happen to focus on an area that was focused on money. And
so let me break it down for our viewers for a second. Jamie is saying that green energy is an investment vehicle. It's not Bitcoin, but green energy. He talked about robotics, investment opportunity, and everyone has a phone usually now, and they have this thing called Siri, right? And so, Jamie, I'm wondering if I say, Siri, how do I invest in robotics? Or Siri, how do I invest in Bitcoin, right? That the answer with your phone is right here. So if you want to break it down that simple, if you have the finances, and Jamie's going to tell us now, how much did he have? Was he a millionaire and did it? Was he had $100 or $400 or $500? How simple is it for our viewers that may not have, but that difference between the 1,000 they plant and the 600 they're going to squeeze for the 400, based on Jamie and Mike saying, find that and invest it in what? How much do we need?
Well, I grew my account over 400% last time just by following what my mentor had kind of walked me through, from putting what I could afford, right? And that's really the best part about this technology, is that, it's really how I would treat it. I would look at it like property, okay? And it's not a get rich quick scheme. Anything that you invest in, you probably want to look at it as a 10-year horizon. Over a 10-year period, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset. Crypto has been the best performing asset over the last 10 years. Now, right now, it's at discounted prices like crazy. And it's interesting.
Bitcoin is at discounted pricing right now. So if I had $100, should I invest it in Bitcoin? Is $100 worth it to me to invest in Bitcoin?
Well, yes, and the thing is, the best thing about Bitcoin is it gave us fractional access. Okay, so now if you have a property that's worth $1 million one day, and you want to get into it, it's going to be in a good area, you want to buy it, but you don't have the down payment to get in, you don't have maybe the credit to get in, you're essentially, unable to get into that vehicle that could change your financial future. So the thing that made Bitcoin and blockchain so amazing of a technology is that I could put $1,000 in, you could put $100,000 in. If it goes to 10 times its value, you made $1 million, but I made 10,000. We both 10x'd our money. So it really gives an equal opportunity for people, for the haves and the have-nots, to be able to raise their monies together. If I can start
Yeah.
with $100, I can get to 1,000. If I can get to 1,000, I can get to 10. And then we can get to 10, I can get to 100,000. It only takes 4 or 5 times for that to happen, and then there's our $1 million, and that can be life changing.
Hey, so Jamie, we're getting somewhere now, man, because we're getting down to the bottom line, right? So we have told people that over this course of holiday, based on the inflationary environment that we're in, the recession that is predicted to come next year, that we have to spend differently, and that when markets are down, we have to begin as a people to look at that as opportunity. We have to
Absolutely.
look at down markets as opportunity. You heard Jamie just say that access to Bitcoin at discount pricing is such that $100 may get you, if it goes 10 times, 1,000. Whereas if he had 10,000 to get him a million, well, we don't have to think in those large chunks anymore.
Start
Let's
somewhere.
think
Yeah.
in $100, $50 chunks of cryptocurrency, people, cryptocurrency that you don't understand, that they say is in a crisis, as an opportunity, because it is down for us as a people in a community to take out $50, $100, go on Siri, I want to invest $100 in Bitcoin. Let's see what Siri tells me. What might happen if you invest? So you get the answers on your Siri. Do what you have to do, people, to educate yourself beyond what Jamie and I speak to today, so that you create with that $400 window that you took, instead of having it in the trash can and wrapping paper and toys broken up. Take a chance and a gamble on something different for a change, or gift someone that, and let them have it and see what happens. Elon Musk, and what's the guy's name? Kevin Leary, that's on that show. What's that show called? Not The Apprentice, the other one where people come in and tell their ideas and they invest in it. They don't
Kevin
stay,
O'Leary. Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary, they don't
Yeah.
stay in this game for nothing.
Right.
And they are giving you access to the game now because it's at a crisis. Let's take advantage of the crisis. So, Jamie, continue with your education on us in terms of why crypto as a community, whether we understand or not, we should take our few dollars or little dollars and ask Siri what we should do. Tell us.
Well, a couple things that you hit on well. I mean, as far as how we look at spending our money and the value. I mean, I was driving down past the outlets and I saw on Black Friday there must have been 2,000 cars trying to get off the exit. I don't even know what special they were trying to go get, but no one thought that TV or PlayStation or whatever they were getting for 90% off was suddenly not worth as much as the price that they originally offered it for. So, for example, if you could get a TV that costs $1,000 for $100, we don't look at that and be like, "Oh, I'm not getting it then because it's only $100. There must be something wrong with it." We need to change our mindset. If you can get 2,000 cars to drive down to the outlets to buy a TV because it's 90% off, then why wouldn't we consider changing our mindset, saying, here's a great asset, a good financial opportunity for you. It's 90% cheaper than it would be normally. Do that same kind of action and get down there and put some money into that, because that's going to opportunity to grow. With that TV, that PlayStation is only got an opportunity to eat up your time. It's not really helping you.
So let me break it down for our viewers what Jamie just said. He said as you were crowding the mall on the exit, going to the mall to buy on Black Friday a TV, they said that was discounted by whatever percentage they said it was, because you never know what the cost is. They just say 50%, and you say, oh, wow, to whatever it is that the cost was. Why wouldn't you look at a crypto crisis and the downward market and say, instead of buying a TV, because it's 50% less of value that they say to you, why wouldn't you take that money and buy a cryptocurrency as an investment vehicle that gives you a return on your money? Because as soon as you take that TV out the box, guess what happens? You're diminishing returns, its value decreases, and it becomes worthless to anyone but that wall and you. And this is what we want to educate you to today, that to change our attitude and mindset going into 2023 to make predictable predictable and actionable plans for the successful start of the new year. Jamie is saying that the top couple of currencies to, as we said, Siri. What's the next one, Jamie, that we should ask Siri to invest in? You already told us Bitcoin. And all, hey, listen, Siri told me, you folks, and Alexa will do the same thing, right? He already told me, he, she, whatever you have it set to, him, her, gender neutral, told me what to do with my $100 and how to invest it. So why wouldn't you do it? Go ahead, Jamie. What's the next one?
Well, the way I look at investments is we look for what we have and solutions to solve. That's where like all companies are built from, right? So if I've got a company or technology that does something great like Bitcoin does, okay, but then it also has, it's not perfect. There's got to be some problems that another company come in and say, this is a better technology, better solution. So Ethereum is the next one after Bitcoin that basically took the idea, the blockchain technology of Bitcoin, and what it did was said, you know what, I like the fact that it's decentralized, I mean, there's not one person that could be in there to corrupt it or do anything wrong with it, but we can make this into a platform for other companies, other crypto companies. And so it did that, and it also invented what is now called as the smart contract. And
okay, so
basically,
Jamie, let's break it down for our viewers because this is not going to be your first and last time. Put me on the screen with Jamie here, right? So people can see me. Jamie, you mentioned Ethereum or something like that I can't pronounce. It sounds like some. Now say it to
Ethereum.
Ethereum.
Yep.
Ethereum. He broke it down. He said Bitcoin, now Ethereum. Siri, I want to invest in Ethereum, right? And you know what? We're going to do something. I'm going to show you guys. Bring Remy into the studio. Where's Remy? Bring Remy in. This is as real as it gets today. Remy, come on in here with your lights. Remy is graduating. Remy meet Mr. Jamie. Jamie meet Remy. Remy goes to Warner University in Florida. She's one of our technical students behind the scene. And Remy, I am gifting you $100 for your graduation gift this month from college, as long as you invested. And go tell me again what it's called.
Ethereum.
Either Ethereum or Bitcoin. Do you make that commitment with the $100 that I'm going to gift you, Remy, to invest it in one of those two vehicles? And then in a year, you come back and say, Mr. Mike, whatever, because you may be a millionaire, and say, hey, Mike Daddy, whatever you want to call me at that point, because you got money, right? That investment worked, and we can educate and show our viewers that that's how it works. I'm not going to get you a card and a Panera gift card or buy you something that is of no value. I'm going to gift you the ability to purchase Bitcoin, and say it again, Jamie.
Ethereum.
So you send me your Cash App, and I'm going to send you $100, and you're going to let me know you do that, okay?
Hey, Mike, can I add on to what you just did there? Since you just set her up with the money, can I also offer to add into mentoring and make sure she gets it in safely and can get it into there, and we'll do it.
That's
and we can come
about.
back together and say, here's what we did. She did get in it. Here's what it grew to. Make sure it all goes well for her.
That's what it's about. So, hey, now you've got someone to help guide that investment that I have given you and may be inspired. And hey, you've got colleagues down there and friends and family. And now maybe you're motivated when you graduate to say, hey, guys, with your investment mentor, don't give me that meaningless stuff. I want you to buy me these investment vehicles, and we're going to track you. Are we tracking? Are we tracking? Are we tracking Remy so that we understand the value of our investment minds, tangible asset or treasure, and Jamie has time to assist you in that endeavor. So Remy, thank you so much. Congratulations on your pending graduation. and as well as a newfound relationship with Mr. Jamie that's going to assist you in figuring out the money aspect. And maybe it's something that you gift your colleagues or your friends at college as well. So and this is, as Jamie had said earlier, how we begin to grow that pod of people and that circle, because Remy says, hey, Jasmine, Jeremiah, hey, I got this guy that's helped me. You got tell your people when you graduate, give you $100. And Mr. Jamie, who I know and trust now. And so all of a sudden that circle is growing. And now we as a community are beginning to understand the dynamics of creating wealth.
Very big.
Off of $100 that started from an attitudinal change, a new trajectory. Remy, thank you so much. And this will not be your last time being called out on 60 Minutes in Black America. So we're going to call you out again. And I'm sure you and Jamie are going to connect. And I'll get you that $100 before the hour's over. Okay?
Thank you. Jamie. Thank you, Mr. Jamie, as well.
Yeah, you're welcome. I look forward to it. Let's make sense. I think the biggest thing is, and this is really important because, listen, I got a bunch of guys too. They look at me like I'm crazy. What's this crypto stuff too? And we got to show some successes so they see it's real. And once they see, oh, this works, they will jump in, they'll try it too. So we got to show them. So let's together make you successful, and you can show some people this really works and they can try, say, oh, you know what? I'd like to try it too.
Right. And you know what, Jamie, before you tell Remy goodbye, where's Jasmine? Jasmine's behind the scene, and what you're seeing is the students that help us with our production, right? And these are students in higher education institutions. Come on in here, Jasmine. Come on in here. I know your hair is not properly fixed, whatever. And so Jasmine, meet Mr. Jamie, and you graduate in May, right?
Yes.
And so I'm going to gift you in advance $100 as well. So now, and so two things you have to do. You have to invest it in Ethereum. Come and say it again.
Ethereum.
Ethereum.
See, she knows how to pronounce it, and now she has $100. Or Bitcoin, right? You have to invest, and I'm gonna give it to you now, anticipating your graduation. I'm not gonna say you gotta wait to May 23rd before I give it to you, because I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust, just like I trust that slot machine people that I dump my money in, singing "Oh Happy Day" and pull the handle and not know what comes back. Anything with its back to the wall, any machine with its back to the wall, how are you going to trust versus trusting Jamie or trusting your investment in your grandkids or your kids or Remy, but you're going to trust a slot machine with integral parts in between and dump $100 in there. So I'm going to dump my $100 and you are my slot machine, and I'm pulling the handle of trust with you that you're going to take that 100 and invest it. Is that okay? Jasmine?
Sounds good, for sure.
No, it's beyond a sound at this point. It's a commitment. And so now I've committed $200. You've committed to the investment. Jamie's committed to assist you all, right?
Yep.
And so now we have a third young person. Where's Jeremiah? Jeremiah, come in. And I may be broke at the end of the day, right?
Let's go.
So this is how, to what Jamie talked about, us having that
network.
trust
this is how we grow.
And that network. And so now Jeremiah graduates. Michael Randolph in Tampa. How you doing, Mike? You're right. It is a great discussion because we're discussing with our people and we're giving real tangible examples of the power of our community to begin to be self-sufficient, self-funding, and supporting our people, right? So Jeremiah is also graduating in May. And forget that meal I promised you guys. Y'all don't need to eat it and dispose of it in some disposable. We're going to take that money, right? And we're going to invest it now. So Jeremiah, you're gifted $100 as well from me. So that's $300. I feel good. Don't we do things to feel good? Don't we give the toy truck at Christmas and grandma an iron or apron for the 19th time that she says, oh, thank you so much. And, we think she's feel good. She's like, why they give me this damn apron again? Believe me, they're saying. Versus taking our asset and resources and putting it into our young people. So you three have $100 each within I'm not saying next year, next week. I'm saying within today that Jamie's going to touch bases with you. So this is that pod now. This is that pod, and he's going to guide you. And hopefully you source other opportunities for $20, $30 to increase that investment. So man, now you're stakeholders in something, and you probably are already, because I know how astute you guys are. But people out there listening to our podcast, this is the way it works. Jamie is the conduit because he's the expert, subject matter expert. And if you don't have one, we said that what's the other subject matter expert that you have? We said Siri. You trust Siri to ask to go where to eat and how to get somewhere. Trust them to ask you or tell you where to invest $100 other than a slot machine at Maryland Live or St. Louis Casino.
And think about it this way too, Mike, just to add on to what you're saying. If $1,000 10 years ago, if we had this opportunity, we fast forward, right? $1,000 10 years ago put into Bitcoin or crypto would be $450,000 today. I can't imagine one thing that I would rather have or spend that money on, $1,000, that I couldn't in 10 years from now thinking I got 450 grand 10 years from now, or I got $1,000 right now. I just can't imagine what I could justify $1,000 to sacrifice to be able to become that in 10 years from now. 10 years from now, you're gonna need that much money, that much security, peace of mind. So if you think about how much it could be, something small like that could be, it really can be in 10 years, life-changing.
Absolutely, Jamie. And Jamie, one of them has to go back so we can put your information up in the chat so that we can grow our gang or pod of people that are willing to look at this as an investment vehicle, because we're going on the faith and trust that some of the investment vehicles at TV you mentioned, the casinos we mentioned, the toys we mentioned, have no ability to give us any kind of return. And we're changing attitudinal our approach in 2022 to realize and reap the benefit in 2023 of a market that is depressed and almost bankrupt, because that's where the opportunity is when it's down, not when it's up, not when it's exciting and people say how great it is. You can't get in the game. You can't get in the game. This is when you can get in the game, right, Jamie? Making money work for you instead of you working for money. That's what Michael Randolph, and he rarely makes another comment, so I know he's excited, down in Tampa, who's a huge supporter of ours. So we're saying to you, as you look to give your grandkids stuff, change your attitude about what you're giving them, right, Jamie?
100%. Think about this. The current system we have, the government prints money that's worthless. There's no value to it. It's not backed by gold anymore. It's literally worth zero. They print money for us. Then we get taxed on the money that we make. Then we pay interest on the loans that we take out. And, at the end of the day, we're told that we can't use any other form of money, so we have no choice. So the current system that we have really isn't working. What can we do with it? If we keep let's just use an example. If we had $10,000 in cash with inflation and then printing money, which devalues our money, that inflation rate, you're probably looking at 8 to 12 years. That $10,000 would be worth zero if you just kept it in cash. Gold, some people think I'm storing my money in gold. That also depreciates in value. You're looking at about 30 years until it's zero. The reason that Bitcoin and crypto is what I recommend is because it's programmed. It's a program that's designed to increase in value over time. There's a fixed amount of it. It's scarce. It's accepted by everyone. It's literally the best form of money that's ever been invented. And we have an opportunity to get in on it now. And like I said, it's programmed to grow. So you can't lose. And compared to the current system that we have, it's really, what's the other alternative?
So Jamie, I just want for our skeptical people for you to endorse the credibility of it, because skeptical people, meaning when we hear something negative about something, I hear something negative about something, I see an opportunity. I see a half full glass. Some people see, oh no, got to stay away from that. They not, but then when it gets outpriced to them, then they want to look at it. Why should we look at crypto in its absolute worst state right now and consider it being still a safe investment? Is it still safe investment?
100. I believe it's it is. Everything's. You can never say anything is 100%, but there's the reason. There's only two things that can impact a network technology. Okay, that a better technology comes along that's 10 times better, or government interference. That's the only two things that could stop it. Once you get to a certain point in time of user adoption, like you have apps like Snapchat, Facebook, WhatsApp. Once you get to a user adoption, then it just takes on a life of its own. Each user contributes to the network. Bitcoin has got a network adoption that is already established. So, therefore, at this point in time, it's very unlikely that that's why I say it's so safe, because it's very unlikely that anything could stop it. Government can't. The only reason this is controversial is because the government can't own it. The government can't control it. Right now they print money. We work for it. We get taxed. We pay interest. Bitcoin, there is no ownership. Nobody owns it. The community owns it, and it's designed in such a way that's so amazing. You can get involved by investing in it. You can get involved. Like I mentioned, there's a fixed supply, but this was really done so that the people with wealth couldn't just come in and just like consider property. And if you knew there was a property area that was going to be, near the water, is going to go up in value, but then the rich people come in and they buy it all up, and then they maybe sell it to us, or they stay there. We can't get in there. The way this works is basically it's a peer-to-peer system of transferring money. And before, as we do now, banks were the intermediaries to say, yeah, he's got $100, Mike's got $100, he's going to send it to these students, and they get it. That's the role. Now, Bitcoin and blockchain technology basically eliminated the need for the banks, because it tracks the transfer. It makes it transparent so everybody can see it. It can't be changed. And instead of one person validating that transaction was accurate, that you actually had the money, what it did was it said, listen, if you'll participate in the network, you buy a computer, you pay your electricity, and now we have hundreds of thousands of these computers all around the world. And so you can maybe fool one person with a transaction, but you can't fool 100,000 computers independent of each other that would state that transaction was not valid. So now you have a system that operates itself without a bank oversight. It verifies it all. And then the key part about this is that supply, that inventory of property that we discussed, where the rich people could come in and buy. Well, now the only way you get this inventory, the supply, is by being part of the network and by validating these transactions, proving that they were that you had the money, that it was sent to the other person. You're going to give me a reward of a portion of Bitcoin, and that's the only way the supply comes back into the market. So that is
interesting.
Yeah,
that is powerful. That is powerful. I want to make sure, because we're down to a couple minutes. First of all, Jamie, I want to publicly offer you an opportunity to come on here, because this is not going away with me at least once or twice a month for a portion to educate. We've already endorsed Jamie, because we've given him 3 of our young people to start the foundation of a network of investment. And Jamie, give your information so that they can put it up in the chat, even though we're going to have you back. If you can give verbally, and our young people will figure out how to put that on the screen, your email address, etc., so that people can touch bases with you, even though they're going to see you back here, I pray, in 2 weeks, so that we can educate a bit again. And maybe you can say that network has grown to 6 or 7, because all of my young kids, all of my grandkids, my kids get no gifts from me anyway. It goes to the grandkids. And so my grandkids, I am going to gift them, be it $50, $100, because people remember what Jamie said earlier. He said fractions. He said that you're able to purchase fractions. Is that crucial, Jamie? That you can purchase fractions. It doesn't have to be a dollar for dollar. It can be 10 cents of a dollar, 20 cents of a dollar, a fraction of a dollar. Is that correct, Jamie?
That's correct. It makes it accessible for everybody to gain and improve their wealth. You're not excluded because you can't afford to get the down payment, or you don't have the credit. You don't need credit. You do not need a lot of money. So it gives us
access to the market. So now all of a sudden we have access to the market, access to the game, and we're changing the dynamics. So Jamie, I pretty much commit to you that you'll have, in addition to these 3 young people today, another 3. And I've got like 10, 12 grandkids, man. 12,
I would love to build this with you, Mike.
12.
This is huge.
You know what I'm saying? So this is the start of that network. And then maybe our viewership continues to grow it so that we have something that is tangible and measurable on this network. But when we talk about Black Wall Street and the physical attributes of it out there where it started in the Midwest in Wichita, and now we're doing it on a digital platform, a different sort of Black Wall Street. This is what it's about. So Jamie, we're going to give you 30 seconds, man, to kind of wrap up, and we're going to ask you, if you don't mind me painting you into a corner and committing to coming back in 2 weeks for like 10 or 15 minutes of the show to give any kind of update. Could you do that for us, man?
I would love it. And I honestly, I would commit to ongoing. There's something really important, Mike. You know, April of 2024 is the next date. Like I said, this is a program to go up technology. April of 2024 is the next time that the supply is going to be reduced. So that makes the value go up, you know, supply and demand. So we've got about 15 months from now that we could build this into that known date of the value that's going to be going up. The price, I believe that Bitcoin is going to be $1 million. Right now it's 17,000. So this is an opportunity that I don't think we're going to have for quite some time.
Matter of fact, Jamie, if Jamie can come back next Sunday, because we're going to beat this across your head, folks, because we believe this is a good beating. And as we mentioned, the entry to market is such that anyone in our community, I don't care if you lived in the most depressed, blue-collar section of town, it doesn't keep you from entering this opportunity market that's out here now. And if we don't understand it, Jamie's going to help us through that education if we need to be on a weekly basis. We already have 6 people really, that are going to be a part of this network of investing, so we can begin to change. And maybe it's only symbolic to a degree, because maybe 100 won't do much. Maybe it's a mindset change to a degree. So Jamie, thank you so much for coming on today, and we will see you next week. I'll be in touch with you in the next 24 hours. Anything else you want to say before we?
Well, the best way to reach me is in my Twitter, Jamie, JAMIEMINER, and the number 9. Just hit me at
Jamie
Twitter.
Miner, JMIEMINER.
Number 9.
Number 9, Jamie Miner 9.
That's my Twitter. Hit me there. I live on Twitter. I'm there 24/7. So hit me up there, and we're talking crypto and building.
9.
Yep,
Jamie Miner 9, and he will be back at the beginning of the show next week. We have an awesome show next week about Kwanzaa. So we'll be back next week. This is Jamie in the corner, his Twitter, and he's already got a network of investors off of this show, and hopefully it'll grow because we're changing our attitude. So Jamie, thanks a lot. We'll see you next week again.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you.
So you are watching 60 Minutes in Black America. Awesome conversation with Jamie. Jamie's not going anywhere. He's part of the family now. He'll be back next week. And what we have talked about, and that's his Twitter feed right there, because we have entrusted him with our young people and their asset and their treasure to begin to show them the investment vehicle. And what we're saying to you between now and the end of the year is to change your mindset, to change your habits, to change your spending, and look at how you can create generational wealth and a change of mindset versus, as we gave the analogy of the TV, that the minute that you bring it out of Walmart, having bought it at a 50% discount, that the diminishing returns of it, because the value begins to go down. And once you put it on the wall, it has no value whatsoever. So why buy it for your young people versus buying something where the value can only go up because we're in a depressed market? And here we have, as a community, finally have a barrier broken down that we usually don't see. And that's cryptocurrency. It's not going anywhere. We've heard about it for years, for decades. People during the pandemic that were sitting around not able to do anything but play on a computer and figure it out. And we talked about Siri. Siri now is your friend investment-wise. If you didn't get a total understanding or even a glimmer of understanding today, as it's taken me years to understand this, go to Siri and ask Siri your questions. And that's a smart gal or guy, whoever's answering, I don't know, but they sure gave me the answers I want. And then we said, Jamie Miner 9, if you want to take a chance on $50, $100, and join the foundation of young people that we have in this investment network club, we invite you to do that. So listen, Mike Haney, 60 Minutes in Black America, thank you so much for joining us. If we can't begin to change the dynamics of our community on blackusa.news, through shows like 60 Minutes in Black America, the Donnie Glover Show, Monday through Friday, Community Conversations, Sacred Spaces with Chap and Quita on Mondays, Political Cypher with Quandra Gaines on Wednesday, and the multitude of other shows, Arc Black Shear out there in Oakland on Thursday with the Black Business Roundtable. Then we've got Honorable Martin Mitchell on Sundays, most popular show that he has with People Over Politics. And following this show, you have Date 'em All Sis. So we have a multitude of shows and platforms for you to view, because we believe the only way we can begin to change the dynamics in our community is to saturate it with communications and information. And it was tonight on investment vehicles and Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think that's what they said, but you'll figure it out, are the investment vehicles today. Good night. Have a great week. And thank you again for watching 60 Minutes in Black America.